Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to do some Jenga block boats, aka tumbling tower from Dollar Tree. We are going to be using Wellbond. That's my preference of glue. I do buy it at Lowe's/Rona here. I heard from another crafter that you can buy it at Hobby Lobby. I personally like this one. I know a lot of crafters have used the DT wood glue. We don't get that glue here in Canada, but I've heard it works well. I would not use any hot glue gluing blocks unless you're gluing only like a couple on any crafts that you do. The Wellbond just seals better when you're gluing them together. With hot glue, they don't glue properly and they can be wobbly and they won't last. I suggest getting one of these rulers, L-shape, aka carpenter ruler. You can get this in the hardware section at Dollar Tree. It just makes it so much better when you're gluing your blocks to keep them more straight. As we all know, they are not they're not evenly leveled with each other, so it's just easier to use a ruler to keep them straight. On my current videos, I do make sure that I would suggest using a pen and paper, and I do pre-glue my stuff ahead of time so my videos are not too long. If you ever have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out on my Facebook page or my Crafty Shopper Instagram page, and I'd be happy to help you there. If you get stuck with anything, I'm always there to help. Now, as you see the blocks here, this is what I call flat, and then I do say stacked. When I mean stacked, they are just glued like this. And that's what I mean by stacked. And I will show you and explain that as we go along in the video. Let's get started. So we're gonna start with 14 blocks flat. The next one's gonna be 14 as well, flat. They're all flat. There's no stacked on this one. 13, 12, and you're just gonna put them on an angle as you go down. 11, 10, 9, and 8. And you're just gonna kind of make them all even as you go down. Then we're just gonna glue them. Now that we have it all glued together, the total block numbers for the bottom part of the boat is 91 blocks. We're not gonna add any blocks going up, but we might add some on the bottom. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, this is the buffer from Dollar Tree in the crafting section. I need a new one and they haven't had any. Another one in the hardware section, and just a coarse nail file from the beauty section. Now we're gonna round the corners, and if we did this, you'll just have a more smoother look. If you want to keep it more blocky looking, you can do that as well. I use a Dremel. I did order one just recently on Temu. I don't even know that new app that's similar to Wish. I did order a small one for like $10. I'm gonna see if it works and I'm gonna show you guys. But this one's a little bit more, well, it is a lot more expensive than that, but I find it just works really well for going along the edges, and especially if you do a lot of builds like I do. I just find it's a lot, not as much hard work as you have to use these. But like I said, I just wanna take the edges off around the corners and then we'll move on. Now that I got it all done, I buffed the front. If you watch my last couple of videos, I'm on to spackling. This is just a hole filler in the wall. I bought this to do holes on my wall, but I was just thinking one day, I said, you know what? I wonder if it'd fill the cracks, because I have tried clay before, and I've tried 2 different clays from 2 different dollar stores, and I always found that it cracked and shrunk, obviously, when it got smaller. And I found with the spackling, I believe it was the last 2 or 3, actually I've done 3 videos with the spackling, and it's turned out great so far, and it's super cheap. I think this one was like $2.99 or something like that, and I still got lots left. So what we're gonna do, the DT does have the tools for like putty and stuff like that. Gonna just go over it lightly. I'm gonna grab my, also helps fill out, and not just with this project, any blocks. I haven't tried it on any other craft than the blocks, but it just gives it a nice, more of a smooth finish. And it fills in those little holes that, you know, with the blocks not being so straight. And it's pretty fast drying if you do a super thin layer, but we're gonna do something more. I'm just gonna show you this part here. I'm not gonna do it all on camera, but you can get in all the little cracks and the little seams. And we'll finish up the sides now. I want to make it more round. If you're happy with it like that, you can leave it like that. You don't have to. Some crafters like the block look. I don't have enough on there. I want to make it more round as much as I can. And I'm just going to do that to all the way up. I think this is getting dry a little bit. I have a little bit of dry speckles in there. Let me get some more. I'm just gonna do the second one here. But it's just like putting icing, I guess if icing on a Jenga block, similar to like icing a cake or muffin or not cookies, muffins, when you're putting icing on. I don't make any of those, so, but I would assume it'd be something similar. And just putting in a nice coat just along the sides like that. Once it is dry, especially because on the sides you're doing a little bit more filling, it does take a while for it to totally set. It might look dry on the outer part, but I usually leave it overnight, and I'm just going to be finishing for the day today for crafting, so I'm going to leave it overnight to dry. I will show you what it looks like when it's dry, and we'll move on from there. All right, now that I had all that on, I just sanded it, and I did not use my pen. Just once you have it on, it's just like where the little cracks are, it's just much easier when you're painting, and it's just really soft on the sides, and it gives it a good definition of look. Now I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree white, and if you've painted blocks before, you know that it does take a few coats just to cover it totally, especially when you're using white. So that's the next step I'm gonna do. All right, so I did finish painting it. The sides, I actually just did freehand and added all the way around. We're gonna make a base for it now. We are gonna use Jenga blocks. You can use something different if you have something on hand. We're just gonna do, try again in a few seconds. Sorry, Google Home's talking. We're gonna do 14 across, and you're just gonna file lightly, just along the top, not on the bottom, just to give it a more smoother edge. We're gonna do 3 stacked, 2 of them for the legs, and we're gonna paint this white. You're gonna need a wood dowel. My Dollar Tree doesn't have wood dowels, so I was able to find these ones. It came in a pack of 12 from Dollarama. You're gonna need to cut one down to 7 inch or how high that you want it. And I painted it white. Dollar Tree has these fabrics. They come in a bunch of different ones. There's been some different ones you could use depending on your colors. That is more of the nautical theme. They had this one, doesn't really match with the green. There's a little bit of blue. There's also this one, but I'm just gonna do a white one. And you're just gonna cut out a triangle, and you're gonna make sure it's big enough. And once you cut the triangle, I did a little boo-boos here, you're just gonna take hot glue and you're gonna fold it over. I would suggest here, I was doing it the whole thing and some of it was already starting to dry, but you just fold it over so it stays, the edges look not, oh fuck's sakes. All right, so you're gonna need a wood dowel. My Dollar Tree hasn't had wood dowels in a while. I did go to another dollar store, Dollarama, to buy one. You're gonna need to cut it down. You can use the little Dollar Tree saw, or unless you have a little table saw. to cut it off, you're going to need, I have this one at 7 inches. You have this material here, the white. I'm just going to do white, but Dollar Tree does have more of the material that comes in the nautical theme. I just decided to go with white on this one. Depending, you don't have to do the stripes. You could do a total different color, whatever color you like. You're going to cut out a triangle. Once you cut out the triangle, I just kind of measured it a little bit bigger. And I don't sew, so I just folded it over with hot glue. I did some little boo-boos here, but I'm okay with it. I did get this sticker pack that came from Dollar Tree. Now, I did get it last year, so hopefully you'll be able to find it. I am just going to take, and if you have a Cricut, I have one, but I just figured I just had these stickers, and I was going through my stash the other day, and I said, you know what? I need to use this on something. So I'm just going to stick it right on here. Now, you don't have to if you use a print. I just think it would just add to it. Now, when you do unfold the white material from DT, you're not going to get a straight flat surface because the way it's rolled up. I would suggest I just ironed it. And then you're just going to hot glue it like that. And I'm just going to get this hot glued on before we attach it to the base. All right, so now that I have this glued on, you can find these with the sand dollars in them. Sometimes the starfish are in them. The glass vase filler, the gems are in them. I just used the one from the sand dollar. So you're just gonna take it out. It was tied on top. And you are going to cut. We're gonna add another piece on similar to this, but on the other side using this mesh. Dollar Tree does sell the fishing mesh, but it's way too big. Then you're just going to pull it out and stretch it. So I'm going to cut mine down. I've already done one, but I'm just going to show you. So you're kind of just want to do, this is me not measuring anything. I want it a little bit longer so it passes the bottom part right here. I'm going to cut a bit of off right here. When you stretch it out, it gets longer as well. So I'm going to cut right here. And then I'm just going to go on an angle. Like that. And I think it's a little bit crooked. I'm going to make sure the bottom is straight. I think I'm going to do a little bit more angle on this one. And then you're going to glue, and I have the back piece of foam board here just so it's easier to see them. If you're doing it on the clear mat, it would be hard to see. And you're going to want to glue it. You can use some hot glue. And you're just going to glue it on like that. So it is going to be longer on the bottom, but like I said, that's okay. And you're going to glue it on just like that. Now that I have it hot glued on, I did cut a little bit, and it's kind of a funny thing that when you cut it, it looks straight and then it doesn't, but I'm going to leave it as is. It fits perfect just to touch the top part of the boat, and this will just hang a little bit. We'll do that after. I want to do something for the top. Now, I found this in my stash. I guess I was gonna use it for something last year and I never did. So it's already done, but all it is these living, shore living pins, and it was on a little clothespin, and I just pulled it off. You probably remember them when I show you this side upside down. The blue ones, I pulled off the clothespin there. Now I am gonna paint, once I get it glued on, I'm just gonna paint around the white so you can't see the blue on the back. I just used some Mod Podge and I just put some sand on it to give it a, just to give it a little bit of a sandy look, and I'm gonna glue it right on the top of the pole. So once I have that glued on, I did in the back, straight down, but it's a little bit, like I said, I'm not worried about it. You're gonna take a piece of jute rope. I just pulled off half the jute rope, which it had 2 strings on it like this, and the other one had 2 strings. You're gonna take some Scotch tape, or I have painter's tape here. You're just gonna wrap it around. We just wanna, I wanna put some beads on it, so in order to get the beads on, it's hard to do with just the strings. I tried already. So I'm like, no, gotta put some tape on there. If you find it's a little thick, which I think it's a little bit thick here, just cut it off. These are from DT. Now you don't have to put the beads on. I'm just gonna show you how. It's just so much easier. Oh, the tape's still a little bit too thick, so I'm just gonna cut it down again. Just like that. Runaway bead. And where's the hole? Right there. So it's just easier to pull them down. Now I'm going to put six of them on. I've already done one. Now to place them properly, because I'm going to glue a piece of the jute rope right behind the star. And you're going to want to figure out the placement for it once you make sure that you have this on, and just make sure they're all even. Now, because the rope's a little bit thin in there, it is going to, the beads will shift. So I'm just going to show you something here. Just want to place one of the beads. Well, I guess I could just do this one. I'm just going to move it a bit. Add a bit of hot glue. And pull the bead right on there so it gets stuck in that spot. I guess you could just paint, you could also just paint some Mod Podge on it too. And you're just gonna figure out the placement. So I'm gonna have one bead coming right there, and just make sure the spacing, I think it has to go up a bit. So you just want to make sure they're evenly spaced all the way down when you glue them. And I'm just going to have at the very tip here, I'm just going to have one bead right there and glued on right like that. So while I finished gluing that on, I actually just hot glued the stick right on top. Now I just have a tray of shells that I keep in here because I get them in little bottles, so I try to keep them in one place. I just want to add a few little shells, and you can pick any color that you want. I'm just gonna put a couple, I'm just gonna lightly hot glue, not too much so you can see it on, and I think I have a little bit of shells here. Just a few little shells, just to, and I have this still on the black so you can see, because when you take it off, you can't even see that there's a mesh on there. So really, you can put really anything you want on there. I'm just gonna put these. So I'm just gonna hot glue a couple shells on there. Now, with the stickers, the Ahoy, I think I'm just gonna put it right there. Then there's the anchor. I'm just gonna put it right on the other side just to give it a little bit stand out more. I'm gonna get this glued, and then we're gonna move on to the base. All right, now that I have those glued on and I got the stickers on, we're gonna work on the base now. We are still gonna put a couple things here on top. Now, we're gonna glue the 3 blocks, being the thinner as opposed to being wider like this, more of a thinner look. We're gonna glue it on the 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and I think it was what I measured. And the only reason why is just that when I put it on, it actually is pretty more hitting on the 5th block, but you'll notice when you put it on there. I am just gonna use some Well Bond to glue the legs down. But before I glue the boat on top of there, I am just gonna brush on some Mod Podge. I always say Mod Podge. I can't say it properly. And I'm just gonna use some DT sand. I just want a little bit of sand to, instead of just the pure white look, I just want to have a little bit of sand on the bottom. All right, so I did finish putting the shells and the stickers on the base here. Now I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. I did go to DT and they still do carry these stickers. I did see them today. Now for the base, I put a little bit of the sand. I am gonna put 2 little things on the bottom here. DT has these great fairy garden figurines. A lot of them are a lot bigger. Like sometimes the shells I find are even bigger than the smaller figures of people and that they have, or the gnomes. But I still find they're really good to use. I did use the lobster on the the Jenga block lighthouse I did. And I'm going to use this pelican. I already have it out from another pack I have. And I am just going to put them on top of here with a little bit of reindeer moss. Sorry, Spanish moss. Just like he's sitting in a little nest on here. As well as I'm just going to put some little shells around here so you can't see the hot glue. Now for the base on either side, I found the little pails and the fairy garden figurines. I thought it was really cute just because it matches the blue right on one side. And the shell, this one here, the shell came with a little bit of blue on it, and I just thought it would just make it pop more than having the white, and I really like that idea. I am going to glue this on. I'm going to flip it around and then show you it all finished. Guys, so here it is. This one is done. I did swap out one of the shells and put this one in. Had a little bit of blue on it, and I just swapped out putting Spanish moss here. This one was just the reindeer moss, but it came in a 2-tone color from DT. I just put a little bit just to cover the bottom of the stick. With the bird, I actually just hot glued the Spanish moss just around the side of the bird to make it look like a nest, and then took some scissors just to trim it around so it gave it a nice nest look. I think it turned out pretty well. Now we're going to move on to the second boat. All right, guys, for the second DIY, we are going to do another boat. We're going to do something a little bit different than the sailboat. I wanted to do different colors as well, so it kind of gives you 2 different options of boats and different colors that you can use. We are going to start with the top of the boat, which is 6. Well, it's not the top. The main part of the body is 6. The next one is 17, and these ones are all going to be flat, glued flat. 17. Next row is 16. Next row is 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, and 9. So the body part of it is a 123 total in blocks. Now, instead of like the first boat, not putting it on a super angle like this, we're actually going to go on the left side of the boat, and we're just going to have a little bit of a, other than this part here, we're just going to have a little step, if that makes sense, just a little one. So don't pay attention to this side, just on the left side here. And we're just going to glue it like that, just with a little step. And the same thing like that. I'm going to move this one down, just a little step right here. and right here. So you notice the gap here is going to be wider on the steps than it is this side. And with this top piece of 6, we're going to do it just as mount the same, the same amount of steps. So just sticking out a little bit like that. Now we're going to glue it all together. All right, now that we have it glued, we're going to do the same procedure as we did the last time with the other boat. So we are going to just file it lightly around the sides. The bottom doesn't matter, along the sides and this sides, and then we are going to put some spackle on it again. All right, so I went and finished the drywall, the spackle stuff, well, not drywall, spackle, the hole filler. I let it dry overnight. Came out super smooth after I used the buffers similar to the sailboat that we did. Now, I tried something different. I just find, sorry, excuse me, with the spackle, even though it dries, because it's so easy to file. And if you've used the spackle, you know it's easy to file. Sometimes if you hit it, it gets indented a little bit or chipped. That's just minor things, but I'm always, I've always tried new things, just like the paper towel mache that we did, the hot glue in the corners, etc. So I'm trying to perfect this. I like trying different things. So with this one, I actually, when I was done, I just put the matte Mod Podge on it, and I just find it just it sealed the spackle on good, and I really, really like it. You'll see more of the white spots, and the only reason why you'll see more is just because just trying to even out the blocks. And you know yourself, if you've worked with Jenga before, that they are pretty uneven, and it's just a nice smooth finish. It locks in the spackle, and I think this is going to be one of my things that I'm going to do, is use this one when I do it. So what we're going to do is paint it. Now you can change any of the colors, even with the sailboat. It's all up to what colors you like. You can change it up. This one here, I'm going to do in the last 3 layers, is I'm going to do black. So I'm going to just take painter's tape, because it's just so much easier to do with lines. And I'm going to do the last 3 rows black. And that's all the way around. And once that's dry, I'm going to take the tape off, and over the black, I will put the painter's tape. And then I will do all the top part red. And I am going to use Tuscany Red. It's my favorite red from DT. And just the DT black on the bottom. Now that I finished painting it, as you can see, I did add a white line there, only because I don't know why. I just wanted a white line in there. So the next thing that we are going to do, we're going to add some little windows. I have some little wooden circles. I got them from Dollarama. I haven't seen them in DT. I know the DT carries bigger ones, but I got the smaller ones. I'm just gonna get 3 of them. I just spray painted them. You can paint them. I like spray painted them black. They're gonna be like little windows along the front of the boat. I am going to glue them down, and then I'm just going to paint inside the circle so it's black, so you can't see in the boat. So the next thing that we're going to do is make a top for the boat. We're going to take 4 flat times 4, and we're going to glue those pieces together. Once they are glued together, I'm just going to round just the sides, the 4 sides, and we are going to paint it white. And then we're going to do the top. So that's 16 blocks. The top, I have them situated here. I had them right there. You notice how the blocks, so when you're gluing them, try to put them glued together like this so they're even, so you don't have any spots in between, because some are longer than others. We're going to do stacked 5 and another 5, and you're going to glue this piece together, and I'm going to paint it black. Now that I have those pieces painted. I did forget to mention I did file just around the edges just to make it more round look. So then next thing we are going to do is we are going to glue it on right there. And you're going to do it upwards so you can center it right in the middle. And then you're just going to place the top piece, which is just a little bit bigger than the blocks, and you're just going to put it on there like that. Once you get that glued on, now I have more rings. They're just a little bit bigger. I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to hot glue it on, and I'm just going to paint the black in. Now, if you don't have these rings, you don't have to worry about it. DT sells these little sponges like that, which would be the perfect size to do it in black. And it also comes with a bigger one that you could use there as well. All right, so I decided to put some letters. They're not fully stuck on. I used my tweezers to pull them off. DT sells sheets like this. Now, you don't have to do this. A lot of boats do have registrations and numbers on side of their boats that they can register. So you can, this has meaning for me. This is a gift, which these boats are really good for Father's Day that's coming up. Maybe you have a family friend, uncle, Father's Day, birthday even. Maybe they really like boats. You could do something similar in colors to their boats. So these are just first, last initial, and date of birth. I don't know if he'll catch that on or catch on to that, but I just thought I would pick the random numbers. You can put anything too. You can do a name of a boat. I'm just gonna do this one. I haven't flattened them out yet. I just wanna make sure they're even. Now, when I did the side window, you could put ones on the front and the back, but it's more of a side view. You could add to it, and if I keep playing around with this craft, I'm probably gonna add 10 million things with it, so I'm not gonna keep doing that. But I did do this, show this one before that I've done in other videos, and it's just a lifesaver. Now, I just use like one of these rings, but obviously this one's bigger. I'll just quickly go through if you're new to my channel. Just some rope and the DT deco tape. And I just made a lifesaver. I am gonna just hot glue that on, get these pressed down, and we are gonna add an anchor once I get that done. So I wanted to put an anchor on the back. So if you're from Canada here, from Dollarama, they do come in the little, I think there's a 9 square of little cutouts. They do have that. The DT anchor that's bigger is way too big, and I wanted something a little different. So I have I fish. So I took the end off the lure, and I'm gonna use that as an anchor. I just wanted really something different. Now the chain I have, the chains from DT, I kind of looked and they were too big. I had an old necklace that was lying around, and I thought the chain would be perfect. So it just happened to be able to hoop it. You just got to be careful, because when I was putting it on, I did hook myself a little bit on there. So I left the long chain like this. Now I'm trying to remember what project, and I don't remember drilling into Jenga blocks. Now I've already did a pre-hole. I would not drill in any of the holes that are directly on the lines of each block. I would do somewhere in the center, or at least not where they join together, because they could crack. I just use my hand drill. The thing is, when you're gonna put a screw into Jenga blocks, you just gotta be careful that you don't split it, and if you just go in and try to screw this in, you might bust it. It did happen, and I'm trying to remember which project, and anyways, I was able to fix it. So I just used the smaller drill bit, and then I was able to get it in there. Now, I'm not gonna put it all the way down. I wanna wrap the chain, that's why the chain is super long, and I'm just gonna kind of sit out. I think that's even in too much. Just kind of like that. Maybe I should have hooked it on first. I do have the little hook. I think it's just gonna be, I don't even think it's gonna fit on. Maybe I should have did that before. Once I get it hooked on, I'm just gonna wrap it. Now, if little kids are around, I suggest not using one of these, only because you don't want them playing with it and catching themselves. Even though I was careful, like I said. But I just like the look of it being kind of like an anchor. And you just keep wrapping it around. I am gonna fix it better because that other little piece on there, I might just cut that piece off and just hot glue it. And then it's just gonna hang like that on the back. Now that I have that glued on, I wanted something here, so we are gonna add 3 more Jenga blocks, which is gonna be 152 total. I promise we won't add any more blocks to it. Gonna glue them stacked. Once they are stacked and glued, I'm gonna glue them here, but centered. I've debated on the colors between the white, black, and red. I'm actually just gonna do a stain. And I'm just gonna use a dark walnut that I got from Lowe's. I am gonna put a base on it. So I wanna put it, because I wanna add a few things around the boat. So you can buy these from DT. They're just shelvings. You could build one from Jenga blocks. They also have the ones that are plant hangers that you could also use, that you could take out the rope. And I think it just fits perfectly with fitting underneath the boat. And I'm gonna do that in dark walnut as well. All right, now that I have the board done and I have that little piece on, it just adds a little bit extra. And I like the fact that the brown actually matches with the bottom. So we're gonna go back to the fairy garden stuff like I did on the sailboat. Just gonna grab some Spanish moss, because I got the seagull out of the package and it has little wood pillars. So you can do the wood pillar idea like I did with the Jenga block lighthouse. I'm just gonna add some of this because I wanna put this on the front end of the boat. I could have added some stuff, but I wanted to try to keep this one tutorial a little bit more simple. I'm just gonna keep adding it around. I didn't show it in the first part with the sailboat. And you're just gonna wrap it around like that. So it looks like kind of a nest on the front boat. Then you're just gonna take some scissors, and when where it looks bushy, you're just gonna cut it off just like that. So it looks like he's sitting on a little nest in the front. I'm gonna glue that on. On the front part, I am just gonna tilt the boat on an angle, just like that a little bit. Now, DT has the wood little blocks like this that you can get. They have different ones. I found this one a little bit too big. So I'm just gonna grab one of these driftwood ones, and I'm just gonna place the flat down in the front, and I am just gonna add a little bit of rocks, and that's all it's gonna be. I am gonna hot glue the driftwood and the rocks on, and then I'm gonna turn the camera and show you it finished. All right, so I just wanted to show you, not totally done. I just felt like there was something missing in the areas around here. So when your boat pulls up on land, I just find that if I put some sand, sorry, I'm just in the way there, all around here and just along the sides here, I think it would look much better. So I am just gonna use some Mod Podge and the matte one and just some DT sand just to give it more of a finished look. All right, guys, this is what it looks like. I did add some Spanish reindeer moss just in little spots that you can see right there in the little cracks of the log and part of the boat. I think it turned out pretty well. If I play with it anymore, I'll be adding more stuff. I really wanted to keep this simple for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which one's your favorite boat? Thank you for watching. See you soon. Happy crafting. If you guys ever have any questions and don't want to leave a comment here, you can always message me on Insta or Facebook on the Crafty Shopper page. If you have any questions, I would be happy to help. Take care and see you soon. Bye.